Absolutely. Thank you. And Dr. Greg, I want to give you a special shout out for actually creating this super team and being with
Ah,
such amazing leaders around the world today. Is just my pleasure to be with all of you here and with the super team.
mm,
So, first of all, my first point is leadership truly does matter.
mm,
It does. It is. I've done a lot of research on leadership, and my dissertation, I really highlighted that research shows school leadership is vital to school and
mm.
instructional improvement. It's only second to classroom teachers as an influence of student success. So yes, of course we know classroom teachers' influence is number one in student success. But school leadership is the number two factor of school success. So you never know what you're walking into when
Right.
you become a school leader. It's a tough transition coming from a teacher in the classroom to a school leader. Sometimes your teachers kind of leave you behind because you're now the leader. And it just depends. But we've got some words of wisdom to share with either being a new leader or maybe in a new position,
Mm.
or how you can help this worldwide retention of both leaders and teachers in the schools. First of all, is I always think about leadership first,
Mm.
only because I became a leader just like Dr. Julie did, of a turnaround school,
Mm.
of a school that was failing, that where the teachers were rowing in different directions. They were great teachers, I came to learn, but they were rowing in different directions. So, what do you do as a school leader? How do you retain them?
Mm.
So, I always think of mentoring and coaching. For back in the day when I became principal, it was a sink or swim model. It was here's the keys, a good luck, so goodbye.
Mm-hmm.
And that became my passion with my dissertation, was all about school mentoring and coaching, and I expanded that with teachers too, because we all know we have tough jobs. We're not always complimented and revered. Sometimes we're attacked
Mm.
for trying to do the best we can do. So mentoring and coaching is so important, where you can you give that guidance. Some of the research shows that retention goes a lot further when a teacher feels committed, when they feel safe in the environment, when they feel supported by school leaders and others.
Mm-hmm.
So that would be my number one. Have some kind of mentoring coaching. I always like to go to professional learning communities where the group of teachers come together, and it also can be a school of school leaders coming together, that you create that collaborative and collegial environment at the school, which is so important, where you can share best practices, where you can have those discussions of I'm frustrated, I need more help, and then where you feel comfortable.
Mm.
And that helps follow with, and Iman said this, is a positive culture, because if you can create a family culture, because
Yeah.
that's what happened to me, and talking to the rest of these
Yeah.
esteemed leaders, that's what's happened to them, is it's a family culture. You've got each other's back. You collaborate. You're there for everyone. And you know what I see when I go in and out of classrooms today? When I see the faculty and staff are collaborative,
Mm.
and have a family culture there, you know what happens? The students become very collaborative and helpful. I can see that in group work, in classrooms, and also in the hallways. It just becomes just that family, and the parents love the school, and it's
Mm.
just such a wonderful feeling. The one thing too, as a school principal, you know, you're taught, you're taught a lot of times to how to be a good speaker and be able to communicate and to be able to try to talk to someone and either for a solution base. But what I found is being a good listener is much more powerful. I'd rather listen to my leadership team. I'd rather listen to my school leaders and parents and students because that's important. And I always offered an open door policy, which I'm sure my of the esteemed leaders I'm working with this morning or today has. You have that open door policy, and I even said one step further. I said, if you're going to have a meltdown, which we all do, which we all do in education, is a meltdown, is that you are welcome into my office at any time that you have that. Because sometimes people just don't need you to solve something. They just need to be heard.
Yeah.
They just need to be valued. So that approach for me really, really worked. And then not only being a good listener, but also distribute leadership, cultivate leadership, not only by giving individuals, teachers, opportunities for head of departments, but also on, as chair a person on a committee or forming a club or whatever it is. Distributed leadership, I think, is so important because I always thought that if I leave this school building for any reason, whether it's a meeting or I just need to go to a doctor or whatever, that school should run seamlessly with distributive leadership. And finally, I'd like to just talk about ownership. And Zach began with that, with authenticity. So I believe that ownership of when you make a mistake is very clear. Don't blame it on someone else, that mistake. You say, you know what, I make mistakes too. And I think that became a long ways. The one other thing I want to add to the family culture is make sure you are complimenting your teachers and making them feel valued as much as possible. There in the U.S., there is a Southwest Airlines. The owner and also the CEO of the company who started it had this quote. It says, if you take care of your customers, in this case, you take care of your teachers, they will take care of your students. And with support staff is the same way. So celebrate your teachers, have PTO, PTA, whatever you call your parent organization, have them organize breakfasts, maybe special luncheons. I remember at the end of the school year, we did raffles and prizes, and I think at the holidays, we did do certain things. So I think those ingredients are, you may not learn that in your leadership courses, but those things for me helped change this school where everybody was collaborating and rowing in that same direction. And you know what happened? Student achievement went up, attendance went up, and operational effectiveness was really strong. So thanks for letting me share that.
Oh, you're welcome. I am a big believer in something called linchpin theory, and I'm not going to do a dissertation, but go look it up. And it really goes to this: in any subset in this world, so let's call it school now, you need to identify the linchpin. That if that linchpin fails, like dominoes, everything else goes down. And teachers, as you said, they are the linchpin in the classroom, and they are the linchpin for sustainability of a school. If you cannot find a way to retain as many of these people as possible, your school cannot be sustainable. But the quote that I shared with you, the last one, leaders are the linchpin for those teachers. those leaders, by their attitudes, by their actions, the things that they do, that is the difference between somebody saying, I don't want your extra money, I want to stay here. And toxicity is the number one reason why people leave a school. And in China during COVID, there were schools offering salaries 2, 3, 4 times. And Zach and I would tell people, don't leave your school because that's not going to last. But how leaders interact with people matters so very much. And I'll tell you what, my first mentor, Zach hears about Perry all the time. He brought me into his office, and I was this young freshman professor, and I didn't know anything. I thought I did, but I didn't really know anything. And he said, Robbins, he called everybody by their last name, Robbins, he said, you listen to this, and it'll go a long way in your life and success, okay? Be a carpenter. What? He said, a carpenter measures twice and cuts once. You, sir, need to think twice and speak once. Do not say something to a student, to a parent, but especially to staff, that you haven't thought through and understand the consequences. Because words have meaning, and I used to tell my students, just because you say something or you write something and you understand it doesn't mean that the listener will. You got to make sure that you choose the right words, the right tone, and think twice, speak once. All of us in this room are over 27, which means our prefrontal cortexes are fully developed. And use those things. Your body language matters. I remember one time we were in Guangzhou, and we were talking about the difference between postures, which at first you thought, Anne Marie, I was talking about posturing and posturing. So your body language really matters. How you stand physically matters to people. And knowing them really does matter. And you're right, Julie and Huda. You will keep people if you invest in people. If you will take your time and you will invest yourself in those people are going to be loyal to you for as long as they can. And I think of my dad. He has a saying, and Zach, this is what I used to say to the students at graduation. And as leaders, it's really important. And it has to do, Huda, with what you said, urgent and important. So my dad used to say the following: whatever be your aim in life, whatever be your goal, keep your eye upon the donut and not upon the hole. And we should be focusing on things that matter. And the people around us matter.